All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we'd like to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahawah.
YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, by Kadash.
Double honors to the elders and the apostles of great millstone to tell us the truth. And salutations to the hopeful elect that's around the four corners of the globe. And the elect begins with the 144,000. Yahawah, who the world ignorantly calls God and Jehovah. Bahashem is in the name. YAHAWASHI, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. The Rakak, Dr. Chis, the Holy Spirit. We're the brothers of the great millstone Chicago camp. I'm the brother I will join with
Brother Shataya,
the brother outside,
Brother Ibadia.
Tazapah.
And we come back at you, brothers and sisters, at a household of faith of the Hopeful Right Select with another lesson. And Lord, when we hope this lesson be edifying through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI. You know, as you can see the title, it says the squeeze will only get tighter, man, with things ultimately different benefits, ultimately, going away, with this cruel Lord, who we believe to be the cruel Lord, Donald Trump, which is Nero, through the spirit. Ultimately, what him taking away these different benefits, the drying of these different food on these different shelves, man. Mm-hmm. So it's like a domino effect. Everything is happening at one time, man. Just to start it off, I have an article and I have a video to play too, but just to really start it off, just to get it going, just really what's going on. This is from CNN. It says the House GOP lawmakers are proposing nearly $1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid and food stamps. It says here's who could be impacted. It says House Republicans are pushing slash nearly $1 trillion from two of the nation's bedrock safety net programs, Medicaid and food stamps. And we know Medicaid and food stamps is the biggest, things that ultimately people are on. Mainly, white women. That's all on these different benefits and things of that nature, right? And it's ultimately what a lot of so-called Americans are on, man. Okay. It says as part of their sweeping package aimed at enacting President Donald Trump's agenda, if the legislation is approved, millions of Americans could lose access to these benefits as a result of a historic pullback in federal support. It says, but that was pretty much the point. But I just want to read this last paragraph. Also, it says Trump has repeatedly vowed not to touch Medicaid, while GOP lawmakers insist that the proposals will largely affect adults who could and should, in their view, be employed. Because we also know that a lot of these jobs are going away too, man. What's that? Isaiah, the 24th chapter, and that's what Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, man. And it says, just to finish it out, it says, but the actual impact will likely hit a far broader range of Americans, including some of the most vulnerable people. The GOP has promised repeatedly to protect. Experts say they include children, people with disabilities, and senior citizens. Right? You can never really trust what this devil says, man. You can't trust what this devil says at all, man. Because we know that what Sirach 12 says. It says what? Never trust thy enemy, man. Iron rusted. So if it's wickedness, man. Hey, even when Esau says something, you can never hold this devil true to his word, man.
He's his words are smooth as butter, but war was in his heart.
Yep. But you got that 1 Thessalonians 5, Tazapah, you want to read it?
Khan, yes, I do. That's 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, starting at the top.
Yep.
But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that this day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night.
I says as a thief in the night, man. And the Lord comes unsuspectedly, because you don't have a time frame of when a thief is actually going to come and rob you, man. A thief comes unsuspectedly, man. Once you least expect it, man. You could be chilling. You could be doing some things around the house. You could be doing whatever the case you may be doing. Ultimately, this thief, will get the jump on you, man. That's how ultimately YAHAWASHI is going to make his return, man. Unsuspectedly, it's going to be unsuspected to what these people that's living their everyday so-called lives, man. But you got it, brother.
Come on. Third verse, which reads, for when they shall say peace and safety, then suddenly destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
It says, when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Because these Americans are starting to feel a squeeze, starting to feel a pain, man, with these different benefits, leaving and things of that nature, man. Because what did Donald Trump ultimately promise, really talking about the right wingers, ultimately when he got into office, man, that more jobs was going to come back to the economy, the golden age of America. But ultimately, everything that he's saying, he's not living up to that promise, man. But what's happening, man? Jobs are leaving. you know, America. You know, benefits are leaving, and it's affecting his own people more than anybody. You know,
That's right.
white men. You know, people that believe. In the different things that Donald Trump was saying, man. His own people was getting affected. You know, bad more than anybody, man. Hey, like I said, these different jobs. Hey, veterans are even suffering, man. You know, ultimately what this devil was doing, but it's all through the will and power of YAHAWASHI, man. You know,
and you can't force people around the world to keep giving into your dollar. Your dollar is falling, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. He's watching it fall, and it's driving him crazy, bro. And that's all praise to YAHAWASHI. That's right.
Right. That was pretty much the point, reaching that verse 3. It says they shall not escape, because ultimately what these people is going to be, if you're not of the elect, man, you're going to be taken by these different plagues, that the Lord ultimately has set forth, this land, man.
That's right. Go to second Esdras
16.
Yeah.
You can start at verse 18.
All right. This is second Esdras verse 16, chapter 16, verse 18. And it reads, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come?
Right, because even, what's that, Matthews? I think it's Matthews 24 says, these are the beginning of sorrows.
Mm-hmm.
So what? The things that we're seeing right now, man, hey, it's just the tip of the iceberg, man. Hey, greater things are about to happen, man. You think food stamps, ultimately being cut off? You think Medicaid ultimately being cut off it's ultimately what? The worst that it's going to get? No, it's going to get worse, man. It's going to get worse. Hey, because they was even talking about what? Payments on mortgages is going up, man. People can't even afford their mortgages. People can't afford their monthly car payments, Salakia.
Mm-hmm.
People can't afford to live, man. If different things are happening right now, how much more, as time progresses, man, with these tariffs, these different things that's ultimately being put into place, man.
Just wanted to share that it's so amazing that DJ Trump is going around as if he's the star of the show by having everyone to think, oh, I'm not about war. I'm about trying to bring everyone together and peace and trying to get in with Saudi Arabia as if he's of royalty. But yet this devil has nothing but war in his spirit, and he has always been what? The trouble that brings destruction and disaster.
You had
I was gonna line back off what you was talking about. It's like you put a noose around somebody's neck to get ready to hang them, and it just get tighter and tighter and tighter, and that's what we're seeing firsthand, real time. We're witnessing this firsthand, real time, because everything is getting higher and higher as far as the cost of living. Rent is going up, food is going up, gas is going up, everything is going up, but your paycheck, that's the only thing that's staying the same, right? The green tree, it talks about that. I got this, Luke 23 and 31. It says, for if they do these things in a green tree, meaning while the economy is still flourishing, you can still go to the supermarket and buy a loaf of bread. You can still go to the store and get some pop or milk, but in a minute that tree is going to dry up. For if they do these things in a green tree, what shall be done in the dry? And like he say, all these things are on the table now. Hyperinflation is on the table. It's at the door, and a loaf of bread might cost $4 in the morning, and when you go back to the store, it costs $4.50 that afternoon, and later that night $5. So hey, again, for if they do these things in the green tree, what shall be done in the dry? So everything's drying up. All right, man. Everything is drying up.
And man, I mentioned also, hey, people is working multiple jobs just to make ends meet, man. You probably work your individual probably work their 9 to 5, but they also doing deliveries on the side, man. That's hey, and the person that they're with, they'll be doing the same thing now, working their 9 to 5 and do a delivery service and do a side hustle. That's basically how bad the economy is, man.
People are financing groceries.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
You know, those buy now, pay later apps. That wasn't really a thing like even like 5 years ago, but now everyone's using it just to buy groceries.
Yeah.
Or fast
There you
food.
go. Yep.
Yep.
What you got it, brother? Let him get this Revelation 6 real quick. We can go back to that second address.
Revelation 6, Revelation 6:5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand.
And those pair of balances is what, you know, it's a representation of captivity, man. You got it, dog. Verse 6.
And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine."
Right. That's talking about hyperinflation, man. As the elder brother Shatari was just talking about, man. Hey, you'll go to the store. What's that? Go to the store, a bread for $3.
Right.
You go back that same night, it's $5, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And ultimately, you know, it will cost more dollars to buy what? A single product, man. You know?
That word penny in the Greek goes into your daily wage.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically would work all day just in order to buy a measure of wheat.
Yep. Hey, and that's what, you know, we're heading, man. Hey, so with these foods that's being cut off, man, and people, you know, their regular wages, which they're getting, hey, food is skyrocketing. Hey, food is gonna be a bill in its own in a minute, man.
That's
you know?
like saying, brother, if now you don't have the food stamps or link to get your food, now you got to find cash to get it. Yeah. Now, as you find cash to get it, just as the brother Shatari said, bread is going up all during the day at the store. But I swore when I went to work, I saw $4 a gallon, $5 a gallon, $6 a gallon. Now I'm on my way home. It says $5 a gallon, $6 a gallon, $7 a gallon. So, man, I hope you don't need premium, because that's man, $7 and $8 a gallon. It's coming, bro. Because the Memorial Day is usually when they send it up, and it's that time of year where you come in with your summer blend for the Midwest. So expect it this weekend. Gas to go up probably $1, bro.
Yep. You can continue that second address 16. Play a video after you get done with that, brother.
All right, second address 16 and verse 19. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for men.
Right. So the ultimate, the Lord is sending these different scourges. The ultimate, what to warn his people, man. Hey, if you don't get right, you know, hey, it's ultimately going to get worse for you. You know, so these different things has happened. Hey, the Lord is giving warning shots, man. You know, to his people. But ultimately, who's going to take heed? The elect. 2/3 is going to be taken by the different plagues and pestilence that's to come upon this place. You know?
And HIV has went up, brother.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
Since y'all want to continue with your sword fighting and scissor bumping, is what you do. So, you know, it has consequences and repercussions, brother. So, hey, the Lord is making moves right now. Second address 16 and 20. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges.
Party bullshit, party bullshit, party bullshit. They're not basically taking heed to what's going on around them, man. That's what Matthew 24 also says, you know, in the days of Noah, they were eating and drinking and giving to marriage to the flood, ultimately took them away, man. Hey, party bullshit, party bullshit, party bullshit. I'm going to mock the prophets. I'm going to do what I want to, and I'm going to basically, deny and shake off everything YAHAWASHI shall send in my way. That's basically the mindset of all these people. Mainly our people, man, because ultimately who is this message for, man? Our people, you know? But you got it, brother.
All right, second address 16 and verse 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good, cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion.
All right, we're standing aside of that, man, with these empty store shelves, man. Because after a while, give us some time, man. When these places stop stocking up different goods, different essentials, and stuff like that, to ultimately to help feed you, a lot of these people is gonna, you know, fight one against another. Hey, for a can of beans, man. You know, will you read that again?
Second address 16:21. Behold, victuals shall be so good, cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case.
And that happened once upon a time, man. Hey, different deals on food goods and stuff like that. But since things are going up now, people are starting to panic, man.
You know, right? And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion.
Right, because as it begins to how can I say it? When it begins to get tougher to live or survive in a society, a crime is going to increase. You know, people is going to basically lose it. What's the saying? It says if a person loses it, they lose it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because ultimately, what it's going to be hard to live. It's going to be hard to survive. It's going to be hard to get your daily essentials or necessities. So people ultimately what's going to, as they use the new term, what they call it, these YNs, crash out.
Right.
You know, a lot of these people are going to crash out, man. Because what, they can't get their daily essentials, and their wages is not going to be enough to basically to get the goods that they need to survive on a day-to-day basis.
That's right, bro.
You know, things of that nature, man.
Yeah.
What you got there, brother?
2 Ezra 16 and 22. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy.
Right, famine is coming to this land in a big fashion, man. You know, because this video I'm about to play, I'm gonna play this video real quick, brother. And let me do this real quick. That's a lot. Yeah, I'm gonna play this video real quick and just basically, you know, as the brother read that, it basically describes what this video is. I'm about to show.
According to government data, nearly 50 million Americans lack consistent access to food. Many depend on the charity of food banks. In tonight's In Depth, CBS's Manuel Bajorquez reports federal funding cuts are starving the food banks and those who depend on them of vital resources.
Before sunrise, workers at Feeding South Florida move, load, and stack pallets of food and household goods onto trucks. With the help of volunteers, this flurry of activity has allowed the organization to distribute food to 1.2 million people throughout 4 Florida counties. People like Rosalind Budget, who lives on a fixed income and comes here every 2 months.
I'm able to get a balanced meal in on a daily basis, you know.
And if you didn't have this, what would happen?
I probably would starve. Probably starve.
But the aid she relies on has been reduced. The Department of Government Efficiency cut funding for about $1 billion worth of USDA programs. For Feeding South Florida, the cuts amount to 40% of its $37 million annual budget.
You're already seeing empty shelves, essentially.
We've been seeing empty racks since February. These cuts have really made an impact, not just on our ability to serve, but on the family's ability to thrive in South Florida and across the country.
Paco Velez is CEO of Feeding South Florida.
It's an unfortunate situation because we see that our families are desperate. They're coming in more frequently than they ever have. And we're trying to maintain as much food as we can, but there is a little desperation.
The line of cars for
Right, the point has been made. You seen what the older woman said? She said, "What, you know? Hey, if she can't get these things, she will ultimately essentially starve." You know, hey, she said she was. I believe it was her that said she was on a fixed income, and ultimately, if she couldn't get these, talking about this food bank, you know, she will essentially starve, man. Because these different things, as we talked about the food stamps, you know, opening up the lesson with, man. You know, with this guy Donald Trump, who is nothing but a puppet. You know, I have to put that out there. He's nothing but a puppet, man. You know, controlled by the higher elites, who are the least controlled by YAHAWASHI. But ultimately, you know, going back to the beginning of the lesson, man, with these food stamps going away, with this Medicaid going away, with these different benefits like the food banks, as the video basically described, these different things going away, a lot of these people are going to suffer, man.
That's right, bro.
You done?
Yeah, you got a little bit more to that.
23.
Go to in that chapter. Let me see. How it talks about the store shall be found empty. Let me see real quick. I believe it's in that chapter. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Well, I got something to pretty much back it up while they trying to find that about this famine that's about to take place, because that's the title of the video, What to Squeeze. And that's what's happening. This is Ezekiel 5. Okay, and I guess I'll start at 16. And it says, when I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you, and I will increase famine upon you, and will break your staff of bread. See, so man, food is a famine shortage. Okay, all the famines. It's gonna be a water famine, food famine, famine of the word. These famines are part of these end time prophecies, and they have to be fulfilled. Okay, so I just gave you that Luke 23:31. If you're doing these things in a green tree, and the tree is green now because you're still able to go to the supermarket and buy you a gallon of milk. You're still able to run to the gas station right now and fill up, get you a few gallons of gas. You know, all this, that the tree is still green, but what are you going to do when it dries up, when these things are no longer available for you? Okay, because again, these famines are coming when I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you. And I will increase famine upon you, and will break your staff of bread. That means you're going to starve you out, okay? That's what YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI is basically saying. All right? But
just like that, it kind of, what's that, 2 Kings? You know, how ultimately it goes into the famine and ultimately ended up in what? Cannibalism. Man.
Right.
You know, what's that, the 7-year famine in Samaria, if I'm not mistaken? You know, going back to that kind of 2 Kings. But Tazapah, you can grab Jeremiah 51 and verse 7.
All right. That's Jeremiah chapter. I know you said verse 7. What chapter was that?
Jeremiah 51 and 7.
51 and 7. All right. It's Jeremiah 51, verse 7, which reads, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that all the earth drunken.
That made all the earth drunken.
The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad.
Right. You know, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. You know, what is that talking about? America, man. Babylon the Great, which is America, has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, because ultimately what? All these different nations wanted to come here to partake of, you know, as they say, quote unquote, the American dream, man. You know, but ultimately these different nations drunk off the philosophy and the ways of America, man. That's why everybody is so screwed up, man. Who's running America, man? Esau Edom, man. As Job 9:24 says, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So the whole earth, you know, is drunken off the wine ultimately of America's philosophy, man. You know, so everybody is screwed up, man. You know, but you got it, brother.
All right. Verse 8, which reads, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain? If so, be she may be healed.
Right, it says Babylon. It says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed, man, because what it has been prophesied even since the very beginning that what this place is going to be destroyed, man. You know, and talks about that greatly, man.
Yeah, right.
1 hour that this place is going to be destroyed. So it was always prophesied that this place was going to be destroyed or was destined for destruction, man. This place can't be healed, man. That's why you're seeing what, you know, these different things happening, different plagues that's in this place, you know, the different benefits leaving this place, you know, people, you know, being judged here. You know, that's why, you know, ultimately what the Lord is ultimately judging this place right now, man. You know, you got it, brother. One more verse.
All right. That's verse 9, which reads, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reaches unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies.
That's exactly right. Read it one more time, brother. Salaki.
Khan. That's verse 9, which reads, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country.
That's right.
Right. She can't be healed, man. Hey, because like I said before, this place is destined for destruction, man. You know, Revelations 18. What's that? Isaiah 34 is another good one. You know, these different chapters that you can read about, hey, it basically prophesied the destruction of Babylon the Great, which is America. Revelation 17 says ultimately, you know, the beast shall hate the whore, man. You know, America's own allies coming up against this place. You know, the different terrorists we talked about, man. Every different thing these different domino effects is happening to ultimately to bring the destruction and downfall of America, man. The economy is falling. The dollar is damn near on its way out, man. Everybody is, joining Russia, and things of that nature. Everybody's coming up against America, man. Everything that we're ultimately witnessing right now is ultimately aimed towards the downfall and destruction of America, man. Yeah. You can read that last part of that verse again, brother.
Yes. All right. Which reads, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even into the skies.
Right, because even these other nations see the downfall of America, man. They getting the hell up out of here. They taking whatever money they got and they going to their country, man. Because what? America, used to be, it's still somewhat is, that money making, you come here, make some money and, do that. But ultimately, everything is failing right now, man. Everything is failing. Hey, the dollar doesn't mean anything. Ultimately, these other nations is going back to their country, man. Current benefits of being in America, man.
And that's what people are coming over saying, that, you're coming over thinking one thing, but this is not a place you can raise your children right now. The whore's definitely at it.
Yeah. That was right. It says, and for her judgment reached up to heaven, is lifted up even to the skies. Right. America has so many sins and iniquities that it has to pay for. Hey, the murdering of the Israelites, Esau, we done basically polluting this land with all type of wickedness, fornication, all type of wicked acts, man. So that's why this place got to be destroyed, man.
Has to happen.
Con. If I could share Isaiah chapter 13, verses 6 and 7, which reads, how ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. You see, this is the day of the Lord in which he's going to bring destruction on to Babylon, onto this place, because it has reached the heavens. So Babylon has to pay.
Sorry.
I was just pretty much backing off what everybody else is saying. What you have to realize, this has been the hub. This is what you call the melting pot. This is where all the nations have come and made their fortunes. And the grinding is starting to cease right now. Basically, the beast is starting to hate the whore. So like YAHAWAH just said, they packing up and getting away from America now. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Donald Trump, he ran on that mega slogan, "Make America Great Again." But you can blame it on his tariffs if you want to. You can blame it on other nations. You can blame it on whatever you want to blame it on. But after it's all said and done, it's YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. Those same plagues that he plagued ancient Egypt with, this is spiritual Egypt, and he's plaguing this place. You're seeing the deterioration, the downfall, the destruction of this man's kingdom. All right. Yeah. But you got it, YAHAWAH.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes 12. I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them, right? Which goes into the Isaiah 55 and 6, which says, what? Seek ye the Lord while he may be found, call ye upon him while he is near. And it says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. And what? The destruction has not come yet. Hey, seek YAHAWASHI before it's too late. It says, verse 3, here's the point. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. I'm gonna give you a perfect example of that. If you walk to downtown Chicago, what's happening in downtown Chicago? Hey, different businesses boarded up. Hey, not a lot of business. Hey, it's like a doing a C-19, man. What happened? A lot of small business owners lost their businesses. And the same thing is happening with those tariffs. A lot of people is coming out with videos saying these different tariffs that Donald Trump is putting into effect. They ultimately the price of things are going up. It's causing a lot of these small business owners to lose their business. It says Verse 4 says, and the door shall be shut in the streets. Meaning what? No jobs. It says, when the sound of the grinding is low, he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low, right? Going into the fact that this music is garbage, man. But really going back to the top, how ultimately what, as it says, and the door shall be shut in the streets, man. No business, man. These different businesses, these different jobs ultimately being what? Shut down, man. Every time you open up an article, it talks about how, 70 stores closing in this location, 50 stores closing in this location. Here in Chicago, not too long ago, it was 2 prominent Walgreens that shut down. What was that, on 35th? And it was another one somewhere else. Walgreens is shutting down, man. Did the brother end up leaving? Yeah, we'll just continue through the spirit. Yeah, ultimately, jobs are ultimately, just, getting up out of here, man. But it was all, this is all prophecy, man.
That's right.
It talks about that, man. You grab that Isaiah 24, brother. How is the city of confusion broken down? You had somebody bother you?
Oh yeah, God, this real quick, just to hit the point in Isaiah 19. Isaiah 19:4, and the Egyptians, which represents America, the modern day Egypt, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord, YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI of hosts. And that cruel Lord, we believe through the Spirit that's Donald Trump, because it's not really looking like there's going to be another president after this. So YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, he's the cruel Lord that puts this place into straits. Verse 5, and the waters shall fail from the sea, and the rivers shall be wasted and dried up, and they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of defense shall be emptied and dried up. The reeds and the flags shall wither. Basically going into this place fully deteriorating. Because America, the big corporation, United States of America, this big business, they're closing down shop, man. Because it's not, the whore is not profitable anymore. So, and in the scriptures is likened it unto like a beast that's fatted up to get slaughtered. This whole country is just a fattened up beast ready to get slaughtered, because these people are so dependent on the system. These people are weak as hell, fat as hell, unhealthy, full of diseases, all on pharmaceuticals, broke. Just everything's wrong that could possibly be wrong. So it's just ready for the slaughter.
Right, because if you read, I believe it's Isaiah 34 talks about this place being a sacrifice. It talks about that sacrifice and
BAHASHAM, right?
And so ultimately, what this place is going to be nothing but a huge sacrifice, man. The Lord is going to burn this place up.
And what do you do before the sacrifice? You get it fattened up.
Yeah, get it fattened up, seasoned real nice.
That's right. That's right.
Fattened up for the kill. Exactly, brother.
That's right.
I got Isaiah 24, and I'll start at verse 4. Isaiah 24:4 reads, the earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languishes and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish.
Exactly right. It says the earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languishes and fadeth away. It says the haughty people of the earth do languish. Because who's in rulership, man? Esau, Edom. Everything is out of course, as the scripture says. I think that's Proverbs 29. Because it talks about in Proverbs 29, when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice.
Proverbs 29:2.
Yeah, Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn.
Right. Hey, the wicked is in rulership right now. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covered the face of the judges thereof. That's why people was in that state of mourning, man. Because what? Hey, the law, statutes, and commandments are not instituted. Hey, Esau Edom tax your wages. He basically put you in a downtrodden state, man. That you can't live, you can't survive, you can't have your necessary essentials to live, man. You can't have, you can't really get your daily bread the way you like. It's homeless veterans on the street, man. People is homeless. And the scriptures basically teach you different ways to deal with certain situations to keep the people, at peace and keep the people happy, man. And in a righteous society, well, we know this is not a righteous society, man.
That's right.
And it says when the righteous bear rule, says the people rejoice, right?
I got it right here. Proverbs 28:12, and it reads, when righteous men do rejoice, there is great glory. But when the wicked rise, a man is hid.
And that's exactly right, man. Because ultimately, when you basically live in a flourish, righteous society, man, everybody is at peace. And ultimately, your society ultimately thrives off the righteousness of YAHAWASHI. If you have the law, statutes, and commandments instituted, if you basically, doing the right thing, and you basically govern the people right. That's why Sirach 10 says what? It says, a wise judge will instruct his people. But let me just grab it real quick.
Of a prudent
man, right? Is well ordered.
I'm gonna just grab it real quick. I don't want to butcher it. Hold that real quick, brother. Then we'll go back to it. This is the book of Sirach 10, verse 1. It says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. And we know that Esau Edom is not a wise judge, man, because everything he does is contrary to the law, statutes, and commandments of YAHAWASHI. That's why the earth and the people is in a state of what? Mourning and languishing, man. Everything is growing weak. People is mourning. People can't even fucking eat, And it says, verse 2, it says, as the judge of the people is in himself, so are his officers, and what manner of the man of the ruler of the city is, such are all that dwell therein.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if the top is wicked, the bottom is going to be wicked too, man. These different crooked ass politicians and things of that nature. Who really runs the society, man? The elites that's had to be behind the scenes, man. That set up these different crooked ass politicians and things like that. To ultimately to put forth their vibrations and how they think the world should be ran, man.
That's right.
And it's all ran in the wicked vibration, man.
Yep. It's just like he said, Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. They cover the faces of the judges. The earth is not wherein who is he, roughly paraphrasing. So this place has been given into the hands of wicked people. So wicked is wicked does, all right? Yep. So that's what they do. They don't, they have no idea as how to do right because who can make straight what the Lord has made crooked?
Exactly right.
And that's what it is, and that's what they're gonna do. And what we have to remember, man, this place is like he says, no longer profitable. America is not a country, it's a business first and foremost. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Duke Rothschild, he purchased this place back in the 1700s. So it's looked upon as a business. That's why the beast will hate the whore. Okay, and this is the hub, the melting pot. This is where all the heathen nations come and make their fortunes.
And right, it's funny that you mentioned a corporation or a business because in fact, what does Habakkuk 1 says, laden themselves with their clay, because all of us we're in debt now.
We're in debt. That's
to the so-called white man. We're nothing but products to this damn devil, man.
That's it.
Being in this big ass corporation, because America is nothing but a giant plantation, man.
That's it. That's
filled with factories and jails.
Yeah.
But just to finish this Sirach 10 out, we go finish that Isaiah 24. Sirach 10:3, it says, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. And right, Esau Edom is that unwise king, man. He don't know how to govern the world properly. He don't know how to lead the people straight away, man. And we know in order to live in a righteous, thriving society, you have to follow the ways of YAHAWASHI, the law, statutes, and commandments to ultimately to govern a society, man. That's right. Because ultimately, just look at the societies beforehand. They ultimately end up what? Collapsing, man. And that's why ultimately Esau Edom is at, man. Hey, we're seeing the fall of our enemies right now, man. These different things that's happening, man. It's causing this society to ultimately collapse, man. And it's through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI that this place is collapsing, man. You got it in Isaiah 24. You can see on that.
Yeah, he's the true director, brother. Isaiah 24 and verse 5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant.
Right. We just talked about this. It says the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinances, and broken the everlasting covenant. Because these devils don't follow the laws, statutes, commandments of YAHAWASHI. They're clean contrary,
right?
To the ways of the Lord. As the elder brother Shataria mentioned, what can be made straight that was crooked, man. So he's ultimately created to do all this wicked shit to be that cancer in the earth. You got it, brother.
Isaiah 24 and verse 6. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left.
Right, going into that nuclear destruction, man. You know, I got it.
Isaiah 24:7. The new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh.
Right, because you have a lot of these people that's ultimately depressed, you know, that have no hope, man. You know, it's harder to live. So you have a lot of these people, you know, they're in that downtrodden state, man. You know, and ultimately they're in that that depressed like state, man. You know, a lot these people are not rejoicing, man. You know, they have the appearance of rejoicing, but these people ain't rejoicing at all, man.
They're through.
Yeah.
And again, that MAGA slogan, if you want to go back when it was great and we weren't included, that 1 8-hour check covered the house, the car, the family, food, utility. I mean, come on. And we start off by saying your average person now needs a side hustle. So you don't work your job to come home to keep working, just to literally get enough time to sleep, grab a bite, and start that whole routine back over again. So, you know, how can you just keep punishing the people to stay afloat when so many are benefiting off of this in which YAHAWASHI has put? And it is the curse of this whore. So she will fall because of the wicked ways in which he is put out. Goes around, comes around, brother. Isaiah 24:8. The mirth of tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoiceth endeth, and the joy of the heart ceaseth.
Right. These people, as we read in verse 7, man, these people aren't rejoicing, man. They have probably the appearance of they're looking good and things like that. But hey, in the inside, man, these people are suffering, man.
They are, bro.
It's hard to live, things of that nature, man. You know, barely getting by. And with these different cutting of these benefits, man, these people is really suffering, man.
Yeah. And another one of those holidays coming around where they want to get out, spend money, and just party and bullshit. So, man, the Lord has a way of having these people humble themselves. That's definitely for sure. Continue, brother.
Yep.
All right, Isaiah 24:10.
Verse 9.
Verse 9. It's like it. They shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it.
Right. So ultimately, these people is facing reality of what the fuck is going on, man. You know, these different cuts, these different tariffs and things like that. These people was ultimately being snagged back into reality, man. Because we read that, that 1 Thessalonians 5 earlier, when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction come upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape, man. These people are starting to face reality, man, of what's going on, man. It's really affecting them, man. You got it, brother.
Isaiah 24:10. The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up, that no man may come in.
Right. Why is this place known as the city of confusion? You don't know what's the difference between a man and a woman. A woman is taking what is a man, and a man is taking that what is a woman, man. They basically sex changes, you know, transgenderism, you know, pedophilia. You know, that's the city of confusion, man. Yeah. You know, you don't know if you look at a particular person behind their backs, you don't know if this person is a man or a woman, you know, and they're pushing ultimately transgenderism on the kids, man. Yeah. You know, so this place is really the city of confusion, man. But you got to, brother, continue on that verse.
Isaiah 24:10. The city of confusion is broken down.
Right. Why is this place broken down, man? Hey, as we read, you know, the previous scriptures, man, job losses, tariffs, different things of that nature. The Lord is ultimately destroying this economy, you know, removing this place brick by brick, man. The Lord is destroying everything about this society, man.
And every house is shut up that no man can come in.
All right. Ultimately, job losses, man.
That's right.
It's hard for people to find work. People can't keep a job because these different businesses are shutting down now. You know, things of that nature. 2 more verses, brother.
All right. Should be it. Isaiah 24:11. There is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone.
And that's crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkness, the mirth of the land is gone, man. Exactly right, man. You know, these people are starting to feel it, man. You know, hey, we're going into another what's that called? Another Great Depression, man.
That's it.
You know?
Yeah. And how do they want to lock it down and control it? Make 15 minutes sick to keep you more, you know, enclosed in and more frustration. Isaiah 24:12. In the city is left desolation, and the gate is smitten with destruction.
And we know the cherry on top is going to be those nuclear missiles, man. That's going to be the end all be all for America, man. You can read about that in Revelations, the 18th chapter, how it talks about in 1 hour how this place be destroyed. Because it talks about, them standing afar off, basically, looking, because of what? The merchants, crying. Yeah, because of what? They made great business off this place. That's not going to, that's going to be a thing of the past, man.
You want me to read that?
Yeah, Bahasha.
Revelation 18:9.
You can start up or start down, wherever the Spirit have you go, brother.
Okay. Revelation 18 and verse, I'll just start at 7. How much she had glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow. I shall see no sorrow.
Right? How did this place ultimately glorify herself, man? The destruction of the saints, man. The Israelites, man. Hey, we had to build this place up, man. By what? They basically put death and destruction upon us. We had to build up their houses. We had to ultimately build up America as a whole, man.
Just like Egypt.
Yep, just like Egypt. Exactly right. And ultimately what? That's how America ultimately became rich, man. These different elites off the back of the Israelites. It says, and live deliciously. It says, so much torment and sorrow give her, because even the scripture says, we're going to give to her, unto her double. So what? Because even in Jeremiah it says, that double destruction, that's ultimately what, hey, this place is going to be destroyed, and ultimately Esau Edom is going to go into captivity, man. It says, for she said, for her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow, right? That's the pride of this place, man. Thinking that this place is not going to be touched, and that's the mindset, of these Edomites that ultimately control the society, man. They think they're not going to be touched, going into the pride, man. But ultimately the Lord is touching this place, man. Just look at the state of the economy right now, man. Just look at the nations that's up against this place right now, man.
And go back to 2020, the egotistical, America's too big to fail. How far we've gone in almost, it's not even complete 5 years. But yeah, big differences. This place is totally, each brick is starting to shake loose through these earthquakes and tornadoes and hurricanes. Hey, Lord is having his way right now. So all praise to him for what he does. Yes, sir.
Continue on that Revelation.
Oh, okay.
Revelation 18:8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, who judgeth her.
Right, going into the judgment, man. Hey, the Lord is judging this place right before our eyes, man. The famines, the languishing of the people, the different destruction. Hey, what's going to be the cherry on top of those thermonuclear missiles, man?
That's right.
That's
that being utterly burned with fire. It says, verse 9, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning.
Right, because you had a lot of these nations do big business with America, man. Right. Basically being rich off America, coming to America, and these different nations being rich off America, man. You can read that last part again, Bahasha.
It says, Revelation 18:9, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and laments for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning.
Right, because they can't come in and make money no more, man. Because when America is destroyed, America is going to be that desert upon the face of the earth, man. Because it's going to be burning for some time, and the fire is going to die down after some time. America is going to be a desert, man. Because it talks about the different desert creatures that's going to basically lie here, man. It talks about the satyr, the owl, the different desert creatures that's ultimately going to lie here, man. Nobody ain't gonna be able to make money or fortune or make some type of living off America, man.
It says, standing afar off verse 10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, that fear of her torment being getting hit with the missiles, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come.
And right, and this tells you, just a little bit of edification too. This basically tells you this is not talking about ancient Babylon, because ancient Babylon wasn't destroyed by fire, man. Babylon the Great, which is America, is going to be destroyed by that fire, man. You can still go to ancient Babylon today. What's that, Iraq? If I'm not mistaken? You can still go to ancient Babylon, which is modern day Iraq, man. It's people still living there and things of that nature, because we know that Babylon the Great, nobody is ever going to walk through the soils of Babylon the Great ever again after it's destroyed, man.
And pretty much, yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
I was just saying that's it, because the Lord, he tells you, this is what I'm looking for. I find it Romans 9:17, and it says, for the scriptures saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. See, so that's what the Lord raised this place up for, man, so he can ultimately destroy it, man, and show you who the real power belongs to, okay, man, who the real prophets are, okay? YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, and his elect, man. That's who he's going to show you, who really runs this place, man, all right? See, a lot of these people, like he just gave you, they have a false mindset. They trust in the customs, the traditions, the ways of this carnal, evil world, or should I say temporal, because it's slated for destruction, okay? But that's what they trust in, all right? But it says those who trust in the Lord, hey, man, we should be all right, right? Yeah. What's that? Proverbs 18:10 says the name of the Lord is a strong tower. Hey, the righteous run into it and are what? They safe, okay? So, man, it's basically who are you? What's in your spiritual wallet? Who do you trust? Are you trusting in this present day evil world? Or are you trusting in YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, man?
We can get ready to wrap it up, bro. Closing precepts.
I
actually got one more.
Okay.
This is the book of Isaiah 30:1. It says, woe to the rebellious children, saith Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover what they covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. That's what our people do, man. They try to find more ways to get wicked. It says, verse 2, it says, the walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Because they ultimately trust in this system where they ultimately can provide for them, man. The food stamps, the EBT, which is the food stamps, Medicaid, Section 8, which all these things are ultimately going to be cut off, man. It's going to be a thing of the past, man. But you have a lot of our people that still trust in these different benefits. Because 2 Esdras 9 says the same thing, basically have received benefits that have not known me. At the same must know it after death, bad pain. So you're also going to taste of the plagues of America, man, which is ultimately what? The famines, the pestilence, and the cherry on top, which is those nukes, man. And it says, verse 3, it says, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust of it says, in the trust in the shadow of Egypt, your confusion, right? All these different things is going to fail them, man. Everything that our people trust in, the EBT, our women trust in what that child support to ultimately take care of them, man. Basically what, using that child support to basically, to get over on their man. So all these different things are going to fail, man. As that Isaiah 19, our brother Isaiah read, that cruel Lord. Hey, Donald Trump, through the Spirit, we believe it's that cruel Lord, man. That's ultimately going to bring these different things into effect, man. But we're ultimately at that stage, man. Hey, a lot of things are leaving jobs. Going to be a lot of more people being homeless. A lot of more people, it's going to be harder for them to pay their mortgages, man. It's going to be overall harder to live overall, man. And this is where we're at with it, man. Brothers, anything else? You good, Isaiah?
Okay.
So with that being said, we hope this lesson was edifying. We'll end up giving all praise and glory to
YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Rakakadash.
Double honors to the elders and the apostles of great millstone to tell us the truth. And salutations to the hopeful elect. That's around the four corners of the globe. Lord, when we hope this lesson was edifying. Till next time, Kwam Yasharallah. Shalom to Baba Ball.
Baba Ball. Good lesson.